Welcome back. You're with News 5. More than 1,000 French nationals took part in a memorial ceremony for the victims of the Paris attacks at the French embassy at Cluny Court Road. Kimberly Spikerman was there.
The ceremony started just before 7 p.m, but many came early with the queue stretching more than 400 meters from the entrance of the embassy. The crowd even spilled over onto the street. Now, during the ceremony, the French ambassador gave a short speech before the crowd observed a moment of silence and then sang the French national anthem. Many who came said they wanted to show solidarity with those back home. They included Parisians on holiday in Singapore, still reeling from the shock of what had happened. I spoke to some of them earlier.
We arrived 15 days ago, and our family is living in Paris. So we have been extremely shocked to be here in a safe place instead of being with our family and friends. So we are here today to show our solidarity with our friends, our family, our kids.
I'm living in Singapore for 2 months now, and for me it's very important to be here today because it's a very important moment. We are French and we are all together in this really sad moment.
The French ambassador to Singapore called the attacks on Paris deeply shocking. He said the embassy had organized the ceremony today as it was something the French community in Singapore needed, as a number of them have family or friends who were affected by the tragic incident, whether directly or indirectly.
This should be a time for compassion and solidarity, but this should also be a time for unity. I think what terrorists are beyond death aiming for is to devise society, to create lines of fracture between people and to break the cohesion of free nations. And we should certainly not allow them to do that. Our democracies are extremely resilient, and I'm confident that being united around our core values of liberty, of equality and of fraternity, this is something we can achieve.
Minister Grace Fu was also at the ceremony. She said Singapore was deeply saddened and grieved alongside France.
We must stand in solidarity against this act of terror. It should not happen to any country, anywhere. We must also be prepared that should such an event happen in Singapore, pray that it doesn't happen forever. But should it happen in Singapore, we must close rank, we must remain united, and we must not be cowed by such acts.
Ms. Fu also hoped the people of France would find peace and recover from the tragic incident.
In light of the attacks, international schools around Singapore are stepping up security measures to ensure the safety of their students. One school says it's employing the same measures it took after the terror attacks in France in January. Now, at the Singapore American School, visitors will be stopped at the gate. Those travelling in a vehicle must have a car pass given only to registered parents, staff and contractors. Security officers said that since the weekend, they have stepped up checks on visitors. The Singapore French School has also stepped up security measures. Some parents are confident that Singapore is a safe place to live in, regardless.
In Singapore, I think we think it's very safe in Singapore. So for the security, I think it's quite okay here.
I think a lot of kids are very much afraid, and this is why, it's so useful that the school is talking about that during class time, and it's also why it's so important that we talk with our kids about this problem.
If people are afraid to live, whether it's Singapore or Shanghai or Melbourne, if they're afraid to live there, then the economy, frankly, begins to come to a stop. And so this is about safety first. It's about economics. It's about how we work with one another as people. These are all things that are important factors when we think about responding to this kind of activity. We have to make sure that our students are safe.